This is our first podcast, Nina.
Yes, so be nice to us.
Please, we will be nice. So, I got a question for you.
Go ahead, shoot.
Where did you go today?
Well, today I have a listing. I'm not going to say where, but
Okay.
I have a listing, and the seller's shoulder is not working properly, so he needed help sawing a couch in half and throwing it over the railing and putting it into a dumpster. So
I saw that video.
that's normal, I think.
I don't think that's kind of normal of being a realtor, but watching you saw that with that Sawzall,
Right?
now I know. Guess what? When I need some work done at my house, guess who I'm calling? I'm going to call Nina. So you're not just a realtor, you're also a handy woman, I must say.
Yes, I can lift heavy things. I can throw them over a banister. I can put them in the dumpster.
I'm telling you, you're amazing.
Tell you.
You're amazing.
Anything to get the deal closed.
And
That's what we do.
hey, that's what it's all about. And, being in the real estate business all these years, people always think, right? Hey, real estate's easy. You go in, you show a house.
You hear, oh, they just unlock the door and turn on the lights, and it's easy money. I have not had one deal close when it was supposed to close or be super smooth throughout the whole process. Something always comes up, and a lot of times it's not anything in your control. Something comes up, and it's totally out of your control. You do your job 110%, and things happen, and you just do your best.
And you wish you get to the closing line.
Mm-hmm.
You hope you get to
It
that.
doesn't happen all the time, but as long as you do your best,
No.
you learn from everything. Every experience is a learning experience.
You learn from everything.
I cry a little.
I see you cry a lot sometimes because sometimes I get those calls and this one did that one did this. And, people don't realize the real estate business, how it is today. And today it gets harder and harder and harder. A lot of people got their real estate license during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are leaving the business.
Yes.
But
Because it's not as busy, but there was so much going on, and business just kind of fell in your lap for a little while, and now you have to work hard at it.
okay. Now, how did you get this last listing that you had?
Oh, the last listing I had from social media.
See, so social media is a big thing.
I posted a story because I was showing a house in the town, and I tagged it, and someone saw it, was like, oh my God, I didn't realize you work in that town. A lot of people don't realize that just because your office is in one town, like out of the Wessex office, so many people did not think I could sell in Morris County because the office was in Essex County. So a lot of people don't think that you can do that, but you go all over New Jersey.
Oh, absolutely. I always tell everybody, have car, will travel.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? You can get a listing anywhere, in the state of New Jersey, but also you can refer, but if it's close to home, why not?
Right.
Take that listing. But now taking that listing through social media, you're sewing a couch, you're doing this, you're doing that, and hopefully we can get to that.
That's one thing I don't do. I don't sew. I can saw, but not sew.
I'm sorry, sawing a couch.
Take that off my resume. I don't sew.
Okay, so we will take that off your resume. How about buyers? How are the buyers? What happened? Say with your last buyer, you went out to show a house.
Oh, well, we went to go see the house. He put an offer in, and he didn't get it. He did his highest and best, which is all you can do. He didn't get it, but he's still looking. And I have a lot of buyers that are very eager to buy. They're out there, they're trying, but multiple offers are still happening. Highest and best is still happening. Some people want to wait. Oh, I can't go out this week or this weekend. Can we make an appointment for the following weekend? It's probably not going to be there. So my advice to new buyers is get out and see a house as soon as it comes on the market, because you don't know how long it's going to last. And there's no obligation. Everyone tries to wait for highest and best, I feel like. And if someone gets a great offer, they can take it. They don't have to wait for highest and best. They don't have to call for highest and best or let everybody know. They can just take the offer. It's up to the seller.
Correct. Right now, the real estate market, listings are very limited. There are hardly any listings out there. We still have a lot of buyers, and people are hesitant to put their houses on the market. I was thinking about something today, and I had told someone this years ago, but I think it actually makes more sense now. How many people do you know that not elderly but are retired?
Oh, wait. Were you trying to tell me this story on the way here and I interrupted you?
Yes, you interrupt me all the time. So hopefully you won't interrupt me. You won't interrupt me, but if you have a question,
go ahead.
You
just
can interrupt me.
Okay.
But I look at, people that are retired. They have no more kids at home. Their kids have moved out. They have grandchildren. But yet they still own this 4-bedroom colonial or 3-4-bedroom ranch, whatever home they own. And I'd say about 90% of these people now have their houses paid off.
Mm-hmm.
So you take a town like where I come from in Fairfield. You have so much building going on, apartments.
East Hanover, too.
And East Hanover. Montville. We have a lot of building of apartments going on right now. So you take a look at all these apartments going on, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, $2,800, $3,000 a month or whatever. Now you have an elderly couple or, retired couple, their house is paid off. Say average house, $500,000-$700,000. So we'll put a $600,000 price tag on there. Now all of a sudden you're living in that house. Your house, you're going to get $600,000 when you sell it. But in the meantime, your taxes are a little over $12,000, $13,000, $14,000. Your PSE&G is probably $300-$400 a month. Your insurance is another $100 and change. Your maintenance on a house, say cutting the grass, snow plowing, everything. So you got an average bill of, say, $2,000 a month. So now your house is paid off, but yet you're paying $2,000 a month,
right,
and by staying there. Well, if you sell your house and you get $600,000, I think CDs today might be paying you about 4% because, again, as the interest rates went up, the bank's interest went up.
Right.
So now you have a 4% interest rate on $600,000. That gives you $24,000 a year, $2,000 a month. Okay. Now you go and you say, okay, now I'm making $2,000 a month on my interest here. I don't have to worry about paying $2,000 a month in maintenance and taxes and everything. You go rent a nice brand new apartment, and even if you pay $3,000 a month,
right, you're still saving.
It's really costing you now $1,000 a month. But think about when you go to bed at night. You go to bed at night and you say, "Wow!" You put your head on a pillow and you say, "Oh shit, I got $600,000 sitting in the bank." Meanwhile,
True.
It's only costing you really $1,000 a month to have a luxury apartment. Still, you have money in the bank, but if something breaks, you call the landlord.
Right. And if you have that, if your house is paid off and all that, that's amazing. But I know some people that don't have their homes paid off don't want to sell because of the interest rates now. So if they sell their home and have to buy something else, they're paying more interest than they were prior. So I think, right?
Correct. But yeah, that'll be more, with, the younger generation.
Right.
They figured, hey, I have a 3.5% interest rate. And guess what? Now the interests are 6.5. Why am I going to sell and buy, at a higher interest rate? But the other way you got to look at it too is, okay, if you have a house and you're going to sell it for $500,000 and you have to sell it because you outgrew it, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You're going to sit there and then hope the interest rates go down? No. When I bought my first house in Fairfield, okay, the interest rate was 11.25%. 11.25%. I didn't hesitate. I bought the house.
Right. Well, that was
choice. That was the going rate on the interest rate at the time. So 11.25% at that time was.
But how was the market? So when you bought your house, did you bid over or did you go under?
The market, when I bought my house, the market was just stable. So I didn't have to overbid.
Right.
I actually got a little discount on the house because that's how it was back.
So when we bought our house in 2004, we went in about 70,000 below asking,
There you go.
and we got our house.
See? But
We were the only people at the open house. It was on the market for a while. You know, it was just like we put an offer in thinking there's no way that we're going to get it. And we got it.
and that
I don't like telling that story to people, buyers that I'm working with now, because they don't like that stuff.
But again, that's, all relative because, times have changed. Things have
Right.
changed.
No, I know, but I'm just saying it's like crazy how the market just
It's crazy how the market is.
like 2006. If you bought in 2006,
Oh, forget it. The
you
market
could
was
sell your house now for what you bought it back then.
back then, and probably more. But the other thing you look at in those crazy markets, I love that market because I love to negotiate.
Yes.
I'm the negotiator because if someone's asking $500 for the house and I have the buyer, okay, my job is to get the buyer the house for the
best price. Right.
So back in the day, if someone was asking $500 and the buyer, what should I go in at? I'd go in at $440, $450.
But then the seller would come back with a counter offer.
Correct.
This market,
This
doesn't
market,
always happen.
this market, it doesn't always
Sometimes
happen.
the buyers go in blind. They call for highest and best. Everyone panics. They go in at their highest and best, which is fine, but they could be $30,000 higher than the highest offer they have. And they don't know. They could have overpaid by $30,000. They could have lost it by $2,000.
You just don't know. And what I try to explain to all my buyers is this. Say, look, you know what? Yeah, you have a highest and best. How many offers are out there? We don't know. Put an offer that you feel comfortable with.
Whether you get it or you don't.
Whether you get it or you don't.
Yeah.
Don't come back and say, hey, I should have bid, $5,000 more.
Right.
No, put that in your head when you're bidding.
Right, that's what I say. I said, if you find out in 2 months when if the house closes in a month, 2 months, whenever it becomes available, if you find out it went for $5,000 more than what you bid, are you going to be devastated or are you going to be okay and say, you know what, that was my highest. I really didn't want to go any higher. And most of the time they're going to say, I would be devastated. For $5,000, I would have wished. So in that case, you probably should do the $5,000 more and see what happens. Some people will come back and say, you know what, it really doesn't bother me. I don't love the house. I love it, but not enough to bid more than I can afford, and they're fine with it.
I mean, everybody's different. I had a couple. This is going back probably around the 2004, 2005 mark, okay? When the market was crazy, 2006. And I had the buyer, I had the seller, and I said, you know what? I'm going to get this deal done. The buyer really wanted the house. The seller wanted to sell the house. But we were apart, probably like by about $20,000. So I go back and I said, to the seller, look, why don't you, if you can come down 10,000, let me see what we can do. If I can get the buyer up 10,000 or whatever. Buyer didn't want to budge. The seller didn't want to budge. Finally, I come in and I say, you know what? I'll give 10,000 of my commission up just to get the deal done, to move things along. And guess what? We got the deal done. I gave up 10,000 of the commission. And then during the transaction, the buyer, started saying a couple different things here and there. And I said, look, man, I got you 10,000. Let's for the house. You shouldn't be the way you are. You know what his answer was to me? $10,000. What is 10,000 over 30 years on a mortgage?
Gotta say,
how does that make you feel as a realtor?
I'd probably cry.
Knowing you would cry. I didn't cry. I laughed about it.
I would come into the office, vent to you, right?
Right.
And then cry a little bit. And then you text me and say, are you okay?
Okay.
Do you want to go out to lunch?
But that's how things go today. People don't.
They don't.
Lie.
And you know what I found out? I love doing nice things for people. That's just been my nature my whole life. I really do. And I don't expect much in return. I don't expect anything in return. maybe a thank you every now and then. But when you tell someone how hard you worked and that you gave up, your commission, or usually you don't bring it up unless it has to get brought up. And they do not care. They just like, whatever. Like, okay.
No, nobody cares. Nobody cares. They think you're out there. Hey, you know what? There's so many realtors out there. There's so many, agents I can call and do and this and that. But what buyers and sellers don't realize, you take an agent like me and an agent like you, okay? You just started. I've been doing this 30 years, and I know I've been helping you as much as I can and trying to teach you the business. The one thing about us, we're honest. Mm-hmm. We're looking out for our buyer, and we're looking out for our sellers. When we think the seller is, getting strong arm, you know what, we'll call the other agent, or we'll put the buyer out, or vice versa. Other agents don't care.
They don't care. They just want their paycheck.
They just want their paycheck.
That's true.
And I learned that because I was at an agency, and the things coming out of the agent's mouth were, hey, you know what? They want to pay for it. Let them pay. And I'm like, but wait a minute. I look at it and I say, if I can save that buyer $5,000 or $10,000, I'm going to save that buyer $5,000 or $10,000. Why not?
Always.
Okay.
Especially if when another agent is trying to bully
you or whatever.
Yeah, I've had that I don't know how many times. I don't know if they looked to see when I was licensed or what, they just feel like they have a right to have a tone with me. And luckily, because I work with you and with a lot of other great agents, I'm in the office all the time with you, I know when it's not right, and I know when to, back down, but I also know when to stand up for myself and my clients.
Absolutely.
So, and that goes a long way. When you have that experience and you know what you're doing and you really, you're right and you stand up for it, then I think people respect you more.
Of course.
And I would rather have my clients be happy and, have all the information. I'd rather have them make the decisions. They have all the information, you make the decision. I'm not convincing you. I'm just giving you the information. I can guide you as much as you want, but at the end of the day, it's your decision, and you have to be happy with it.
Yep. I've had attorneys where they would come to me and say, hey, you know what? Why don't you just stay out of it? Don't you want your commission? Let's just get the deal done. And I look at it, I say, no, because you know what? I treat every buyer or every seller as if they were my family, especially the young kids today going and looking for a house, first-time buyer or whatever. And you know what? I have young children. I have my one daughter that bought a house. I have another daughter looking now. And I have my son that's thinking about getting into the business. And and the thing is, like a young couple, like I had one yesterday, and I had a realtor call me and saying, hey, can you waive the appraisal? Can you waive, the home inspection? And I said, absolutely not. I didn't even call the buyer.
Right.
Because you know what? I would recommend them not doing that.
Of course.
Especially on, buying.
First-time home buyers,
right.
Because they do get nervous.
And again, any attorney sometimes will tell you not to do it. So I had to explain to the buyer, hey, you lost the deal. I'm just telling you what happened. Somebody else waived the appraisal and waived the home inspection. And they said, you know what? We would never do that. I said, thank you very much, because they called me and I said you weren't going to do that without calling you. And she said, you know what? I know you have my best interests in hand, and I know you're treating me like I'm your own daughter. Please, by all means, do that.
And that just happened. That's why I was late today, because I was on the phone. You were waiting for me. Same thing happened with they want pushing, and we're like, that's not what we agreed upon. We're absolutely not doing that. I did call the buyer just to fill them in, and they were like, it's so appreciative of the fact that we have their back. We're not just gonna do something to get the deal done and have them agree to something that they're not comfortable with. And I think that goes a long way.
Absolutely,
because that's how we get future business. People refer if they don't trust you, if they don't, if they get their house, but at the end they're like questioning everything, and they're like, you know what, I feel like I was kind of strong-armed into this. I feel like someone talked me into this. I really didn't want to do this, but they told me it would be okay. That's not a good thing.
And speaking about future business, my business is built on a lot of referrals from people I've dealt with. One of my first customers, I still remember today. We went to look at a house in Fairfield, and it was during the middle of a snowstorm. So they were just getting engaged, and we go look at the house. It was a wreck, needed everything, okay? When you go in and you're scared to touch a doorknob or whatever, you know the house needs everything.
Been there.
So they were asking $200,000 for the house. The buyers came in and said, you know what, we really like it. I know it needs a lot of work, all nervous and everything. And, I explained to them, yes, it needs a lot of work. I know you're going to have to redo everything. They're asking $200,000, and they asked for my opinion. What do you think? I said, I'd offer them $160,000 for a big house back in the early 90s. He goes, yeah, you know what? I'll pay probably like $180,000 or so for the house. I said, yeah, but we're going to start lower. He goes, yeah, but you got my whatever. I go, we write up the offer, $160,000. I call the agent. I want to go present it. My broker comes to me and says, are you crazy going in at $160,000? They're asking $200,000. You can't go and offer him that. I said, why can't I go offer him $160,000? Well, it's a lot lower than the asking.
Right. People think that they're going to get offended. They don't want to.
They're going to offend. Right. They're going to offend the sellers. I said, you know what? I said, this is what they're offering. I'm going to go present it, and we'll go from there.
Because if they have a better offer,
they're going to take it. But this is back in the day when negotiations were there. I'm sitting in front of the seller with the other agent there. And I explained to them the house needed a lot of work and this, that, and the other thing. And my buyers offered you $160,000. She stood there. I said, look, go talk to your agent. You don't have to answer me. See what's, talk amongst yourselves. The seller comes back and says, you know what? I talked to my agent, but before we go anywhere, I just want you to know, haven't opened up the built-in pool in years. Don't know what it's like. My bathroom downstairs doesn't work. Meanwhile, I know my guy's doing everything.
Right.
So she looks at me and she goes, you know what? I'll take the $160,000. Signed the offer right there and then.
And you saved them? Saved
them $40,000. Went back, got to the office. The brokers started laughing. So how'd you do this, that, and the other thing? I put my face like I was drooping there. And finally I took out the file and I said, here, they signed the offer, $160,000. I said, you just don't know.
You don't?
I called the buyer. I said, congratulations, you're going to be a first-time homeowner. Wow, we got it for $180,000. I said, no, you got it for $160,000. But you know how ecstatic they were for $160,000. They referred me so much business. They got married, redid the entire house, okay? Ended up buying a lot in town. Ended up giving me their house to sell, which I got the most money for them when they sold. When they were ready to sell their house, it was over well into $1.7 million, $1.8 million, which was a lot of money for our town. And everybody was telling him back, but this is going back in 2006, everybody was telling him, you know what, you need to use an agent that does these types of houses, that, an office that, only does this. And you know what his answer was? His answer was, no. Vito sold me my first house. He sold me a flip. He sold a lot of my friends and family houses. And I'll never forget what he did for me. And he actually called me up and I sold his house.
Doesn't that make you feel so good?
It makes me feel great because, you know what? I did something good for him. And in return, he remembered. And he did. It doesn't happen all the time. But the other thing with this gentleman, too, is he ended up making a lot of money, got a great job, making a lot of money. And I'll never forget. And one of the reasons I actually own the car I own today is because of him. He bought a Ferrari. Okay. And he got his Ferrari. What did he do? First thing he did, called me up, came and picked me up and took me for a ride. And I was like, wow. You know what? He didn't have to do that.
I'm going to change subjects.
Yeah,
quick.
go right ahead.
How do you, because this just came up in the last couple of days. Well, it's come up before, but how do you deal with someone when you have a client and you can't, you show them everything, you can't make the open house, or they don't want to bother you and they go to an open house, but they say, here, I have an agent, here's her card, here's her information, and that agent that's doing the open house continuously calls, texts, and emails and harasses your client. Try telling them the benefits of using the listing agent. Come with me. I can keep you in the loop. How do you handle that?
Well, my first thing is you call the agent and you say you need to lose that number.
Well, see, I didn't do that only because we were putting an offer in. And I knew she had his name, and I was putting the offer in under his name. I didn't want her to not, take his offer or anything just because she was annoyed that he didn't use her. So I didn't say anything right away. I probably am going to say something.
Right, but
it's
it's your customer. Once you get the deal presented, hopefully they do get the offer. They didn't get the offer. Okay, and they may have not gotten the offer. It wasn't because she's a listing agent. It's because they got...
In the middle, they got other offers that were higher and the terms were better.
That are higher, right. And the way to best explain to these agents is, look, you know what? They came to your open house. You know they're my clients. Please, are you that desperate to find...
I've reached out to people and said, hey, look, he's asking me to contact you. Please stop texting him. He told you he has an agent. He doesn't have time to go back and forth. And they continuously don't stop.
Then the other thing is you tell your buyer is, hey, block that number and you'll never see that number come again.
Yeah.
And then and remember that, down the road when you're going to deal with this agent again. A lot of people in this business don't realize, you know what, be kind to the other agent on the other end, because you never know when you guys are going to hook up again. I have so many agents that I've dealt with for years that are so nasty, okay? I have the buyer, they're so nasty, they're on the other end, whatever. All of a sudden, now they have a buyer for one of my listings, and they want to be my best friend. Yeah. And they call like they're your best friend. They kind of forget. They got
2 years ago, listing agents, not all, a lot of them would be like that. I'd call, I'm writing up an offer for my client. I want to know, what are the terms that that's more appealing to your seller? What about closing times? When do they want to close? 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? Do they need a use of occupancy? We'll put in whatever is going to make our offer stronger. And I've had agents literally pick up the phone. If you're an agent, text me your question. Click.
Right.
Or put in their remarks online. Do not call me. Do not ask me any questions. What?
Agents do that all the time because they think they know who the hell they are or whatever. I've had agents where we had multiple offers, okay? And again, this is going back in 2006 when the market was crazy like it is now. And I lost out on the deal. They said, oh, we have a cash buyer, yours was with a mortgage or whatever. And I lost out. Okay, no problem. I believe our offer was like 505 and we lose the deal. About a week and a half later, the agent calls me and says, hey, is your buyer still available? I said, why? He goes, well, the other guy said it wasn't a cash buyer. They did a home inspection, this, that. I said, okay. I said, and they're backing out? Yeah. Is your buyer still there? I said, absolutely, he's still there. But I'm telling you right now, there's going to be with the home inspection, the electrical panel came up, the roof, whatever came up. I said, yeah, my buyer's still there, $495. He goes, but it was $505. I said, that was 10 days ago. I said, today it's $495. He took the offer, and we did our home inspection. It had an issue with the roof, and it had an issue with the panel, and we got a $5,000 credit. Again, why? I represent the buyer. Right. I don't represent the seller. You tried to play hardball with me in the beginning. You just lost your seller $15,000, or maybe more if your offer was even higher.
And I try to tell buyers too. Okay, if you go to if you go to an open house and this agent, this is what they're doing to you. They're doing that to everybody else that's coming in. So they're giving all the information you think you're privy to. They're giving it to everybody else, and then they're trying to get you to go with them. And and you have every right. You want to do that? I can't hold you. You have to be happy with who's representing you, and that's just kind of the way I leave it. And I try not to get on anyone's bad side, but I just know it's happening.
But again, everybody, everybody.
And we risk our lives constantly showing houses to strangers.
Tell me that story again with that one stranger. What do I tell you all the time? When a stranger calls and you're going to go look at a house and you're going to go show them a house and you're going to go meet them, bring somebody.
I know, but I really don't get scared. I don't know why. I literally
you should get scared.
I get there and I'm like,
you know what? Now I realize why you don't get scared. I saw you use that Sawzall. There you go. Didn't you have one recently?
Yes, until I get there and I find 43 little crevices to my body got to be dismantled and put into. But I don't. The only thing I'm telling you from real estate class, the first thing she told us was when you're showing a house, never go down the stairs first. If you're going down and they want to see the basement, either you don't have to go down with them or you say, you go ahead. Because they can kick you downstairs
and you're all done. Right. And
but that's stuck in my head. So even though I really don't get nervous, and I don't know why. I should. I feel like I should. I meet, get a 4-time call, meet a strange man at a house that's an estate sale. It's completely abandoned. There's only mountains, like acres of mountains behind. It's a mile from the road, and I don't know. And then he'll say, oh, can I see the basement? Which is exactly what he said. I said, do you want to see the bedrooms? The bedrooms are actually a decent size. He's like, no, just the basement. I'm like, oh, okay, let's go down to the basement. But I made him go first.
See, at least you smart. At least you smarted up, and you let him go first. But yeah, you got a lot of crazy people out there. But just wanted to let everybody know this is our podcast here. And hopefully we'll continue this, and we have
enjoyed it.
We have a lot of stories out there, a lot of different stories, and
we were just winging it today. So.
That's it, and we can keep going on, and with all these stories. But we're gonna say goodbye now. But before we say goodbye, I just want to say one thing. One day, and that day will come, when you need to sell your house or buy a house. And when that day does come, you need to call Vito Cantuzzi, the godfather of Northern New Jersey real estate. Have a good day, everybody.